Hi, it's Christie here. I am on Charla's back deck and I am about to cut some rhubarb. Now it is August right now and that's a little bit late to be cutting rhubarb. We kind of missed it this year, but we wanted to show you how to freeze rhubarb. So we said, you know what, we're just going to do it. We're going to just cut it and see what it looks like, and we're going to do it anyway, and it's going to be okay. So I have a knife and I will show you how to pull rhubarb, and then I have a knife for a reason. It's not what you think. And so I'm going to go ahead and start that. And I want to let you know that you should do this probably earlier in the season because it's not in its prime right now. All right, so our rhubarb is starting to get brown leaves. And that is meaning it's starting to get ready to go dormant. It's probably had a few shoots come out and go to seed, and they've been pulled so that it takes longer to go dormant. But I am going to just show you how to pull rhubarb leaves if you don't know. And then we will take them inside and chop them up and show you how to freeze them. So sorry if it's a little bit jiggly here, because I got to do this with my phone. Oh, see, we had some breakage right down there in the rhubarb where all the spiders live. We want to just pull this. We want to get low down at the base. There, that's what we want. That's the good stuff. I didn't pull low, I actually pulled high. So you want to pull it and get as much of that base as you can, especially in the spring when this is coming in. People say, and maybe it's a wives' tale, maybe it's real, people say that when you pull rhubarb that way, it signals to the plant to grow more shoots. But if you just cut it off, it won't. I think it's a wives' tale because rhubarb's going to grow. It's pretty much a weed. It's kind of hard to kill a rhubarb. But so then I'm going to trim this off. That's why I brought my trusty knife. And I'll just get a little handful of stalks here, and I'll take it into the kitchen and we'll clean them up. Oh, I feel good about that one. Whoa, that is what it's supposed to look like. Good job, Christie. All right, that is a pretty good stash. I'm gonna take the leaves and trim it, and then I'm gonna actually show you what to do with them. You can compost them, or I used my trusty knife and I cut all my rhubarb up. I took the leaves off, and here I have the leaves. My mom taught me this. Again, could be a wives' tale. Might be true, might not. Rhubarb itself likes to be hot, but it likes to have cool roots, which is why it has these big leaves. So you can take these leaves and shove them right in the bottom, and it'll do two things. It also helps protect the roots from getting too hot, and they will decompose and provide some wonderful compost for your rhubarb. His gardening tip of the day. I am back inside Charla's beautiful kitchen with beautiful Charla. She did not come out and help me cut the rhubarb. Do you know what? I should have had you do cinematography because...
Yes, I should
have. As you just saw, I'm out there hand-holding, doing things with one hand. The cool part you didn't see, because I couldn't film it because I don't have three hands, is the leaf end. I could just... This one got chopped poorly, so I'm going to show you. I'm out there, and I'm on your lawn, and I'm by myself. I felt at one with nature, like I was in a jungle, and I'm like... And so all of the leaves got chopped like that. And
that's kind of awesome.
It was fast. In our garden shed growing up, there was always, you know, the shovel, like the little trowel, the forks, the nippers. And my mom had a walnut-handled butcher knife that was about this long and this big, and it was the best dandelion digger, it was the best rhubarb chopper, it was the best everything. If she could have put it on her tool belt, she would have, and a knife is just part of gardening. So I happened to use a chef's knife to do it. It was a little high-end, a little highbrow for rhubarb. So we're inside.
So when Christie got in with the rhubarb, she washed it and then we dried it because it's important if you're going to be freezing the rhubarb that you dry it well first. You don't want to get those water crystals and ice crystals and all that kind of stuff happening because then, you know, freezer burn and all that.
Yeah.
And we want this to last as long as possible. I have rhubarb this year, and I think I had it last year too, right?
You did.
But before that, I used to get it from my friend Denise, and I would steal some of Christie's.
Hey, Denise.
It was, yeah, so I've always had rhubarb and been able to freeze it. And I have a blog post on how to freeze rhubarb with really step-by-step instructions for how to freeze it just in general, and then how to freeze it specific for in recipes. And so in the description below, I'll put the link for that so that if you want to like be able to read the step-by-step, you can. But otherwise, we're gonna show you today how we're gonna freeze rhubarb.
We are.
And it's a little late for rhubarb season, but
You know,
it's still gonna get in our freezer. And
it's still gonna get in our freezer. There was still lots of good rhubarb. Your rhubarb is in better shape than mine. Mine is looking pretty brown and wilty, and yours was still quite green and fresh.
Rhubarb champ.
Rhubarb champ.
I have this recipe for rhubarb muffins. It has sour cream and it has this crumble on top. They're so good. We should make those one day.
Let's make
Because they
those.
freeze well. So we could do a bake with me.
I froze my rhubarb plots.
You did?
Yes.
And it worked?
Oh yeah, but you just can't. Life pro tip: do not freeze your rhubarb in anything metal. It will eat it. So it's in a plastic container
Right.
in my freezer.
Okay.
So I can have.
You can have rhubarb plots
I can
whenever
have-
you want. We were just talking about your rhubarb plots in
Another video.
But it's got like pie crust, or you described it.
It's got a layer of pie crust on the bottom, and then you sprinkle chunky rhubarb on top, so 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and then you probably 3/4 of a cup of sugar, because it's rhubarb, and then it's a cake batter that you drizzle on, and you bake it all at once in the oven. And
Pie and cake.
and rhubarb, and then it's just you just cut it into squares, and it goes like hotcakes. It's really popular. I like to take it to big family things, because if it's just our family, we will eat the whole thing, and that's pie and cake. it's big. So I'll write up a recipe for that, and you can make rhubarb plots.
There you go. So once we have that, we'll put that down below too. We're gonna get to how to freeze rhubarb.
All right, I'm going to chop it. I did a bit of trimming outside. I did a close-up of how when you pull the rhubarb, it has that root end on of it, and so some of them I trimmed. You can still see I have a little bit there, but do you know what? That's okay. That's still edible rhubarb, and it's still gonna taste good. So I have some here too, and I feel that these are okay, because rhubarb isn't perfect. Look at this one is an old warrior, but he's gonna freeze just fine. So I'm gonna point something out on my fancy schmancy cutting board. This one it's graduated. I've got 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. So if I really wanted to, how are we chopping these? 1 inch?
1/4 to 1/2 inch.
1/4 to 1/2 inch. That's pretty little. So that's that. On this side, woo, metric. Here comes our centimeters. So centimeters about 1/2 inch anyway. So I'm gonna just follow that along. How do you feel about that, Charlotte?
I think that looks great.
Okay. Feels like it's a little far away from me, so I can keep it on the camera, but normally I'd be a little bit more here, but that's okay, because I wanted to be able to follow along with my little cutting guide. Well, I messed that one up, but do you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect.
No, it doesn't.
You just have to get it in your freezer.
Mine tend to be more 1/4 inch.
Oh, you like them little?
But
well, this
doesn't
will be
matter.
mine, and then this will be yours.
After you have sliced your rhubarb, 1/2 to or 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick,
Yep.
you're gonna lay them on a baking sheet in a single layer and freeze it.
Awesome. Let's do that.
on the baking sheet, we're gonna transfer it into medium-sized freezer bags. We're gonna get all the air out and freeze it that way. But I like to have mine completely ready for recipes. So I'm measuring it into 2-cup servings. Every bag I will know will have 2 cups of rhubarb in it. That way, if a recipe calls for 1 cup, I can double the recipe, or I could take half of it out. Because we froze it flat, it won't stick together. Or if it calls for 2 cups, of course, I'll use both cups. Honestly, if it called for 1 cup, I'd probably use 2 cups anyway because I like rhubarb.
Totally.
But yeah, so we're just gonna get that in there and then take the air out of the bags and voila, frozen rhubarb.
Another way that we had rhubarb growing up was my mom would cut it probably in 1/2 to 1 inch chunks, and we would stew it. We would put it in a pot on the stove just like you were going to make applesauce. You could add a couple of tablespoons of water to keep the moisture up, but rhubarb on its own is pretty juicy, so it makes its own juice, and then you just add enough sugar that it's no longer puckering, or the right kind of pucker, however you want, it's your decision. And then we would freeze it in bags like that. It's really good on smoothies. It's really, really good on pancakes. You would not believe how good stewed rhubarb is on pancakes. And sometimes we would just have it on ice cream or have it as a dessert.
That would all be really good.
We often had either canned fruit or something like that for dessert, and stewed rhubarb is awesome for that.
That's an awesome tip. Mark my husband puts rhubarb, this kind of non-stewed rhubarb, in his smoothies. So stewed would
good fiber.
blend really well,
right?
and it gives that little.
It's
like,
a little
firmness.
zip. Yeah, it adds a little zip. Actually, one day when I had made some stewed rhubarb, I brought some over in a little container. And I gave it to him, and he was making a smoothie right then, and he added it right then.
Yep.
Although mine would have had a little bit of sugar in it.
What might have gotten him hooked on
Oh,
it,
maybe.
actually. Yeah.
Oh, well, look at that. I started a revolution. A revelation, anyway.
So in case you find yourself with a lot of rhubarb this year, it's one of those things, it's like zucchini.
It's like zucchini.
Right there.
Ooh,
A
zucchini
video on how to freeze zucchini, because you have some of that too.
There's a meme going around on Facebook right now. It says, be sure to lock your cars at night. One of your neighbors is going to try to put zucchini in it. It's true.
It's true. And rhubarb's the same way. Like if you've
How do you
got
get rid of your
so much
rhubarb?
rhubarb
Well, you
that
freeze it.
You're like giving it away.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to pawn it on your neighbors. You can actually freeze it and use it for many
anytime
months.
you want.
I've still got some from last year, and I know you're only supposed to, freeze it for 3 to 6 months, but honestly, mine isn't freezer burnt yet, and I can still use, I only have 1 bag left, but I can still use it. So I'll use it before we use this.
Before we get into the new stuff.
Yeah. That's why it's good to put dates.
Put dates on your freezer meals. Yes. Yes, otherwise you're taking chances. Calculated risks, right?
Yes.
Calculated risks. We've all done it.
Today was a little bit of a different video. We don't do how to freeze videos super often. We usually are making meals or teaching you how to do freezer cooking and feed your family with freezer meals.
Right. But this is important information, and we know about freezing stuff.
And we don't want your rhubarb to go to waste, and we don't want our rhubarb to go to waste.
We care about your rhubarb.
We care about your
But there's
rhubarb.
something we need to tell you about. It is the Freezer Meals 101 Club. And there's going to be a link for it below, and we want you to click that link and join our club. Tell us what you get with the club.
So you can go in there and pick whatever recipes that you want to make. They're all tried and true, tested with
These are
freezing.
meals, not just rhubarb.
No,
Just so you know.
there's no rhubarb in the club.
Except for the muffins that you're going to put in.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And, you can then generate a shopping list that's customizable. You can change the number of servings. You can filter by protein or diet or restrictions or keyword.
It's all there.
It takes the work, like the brain work
out of
the freezer
cooking.
Don't get me wrong. It doesn't take the actual assembly work.
We're not gonna show up at your house and start browning your hamburger.
There's no fairies that are gonna flitter in and like prep your meals in the night.
Cinderella and all the little birds, or the Snow White and the little birds that help her make the bed or whatever.
No, none of that. But we're gonna take the planning work out of it for you. So find out more down below and
come and join us. Come and cook with us.
It's awesome. And we're going to put a link right there to that zucchini video, because if you're a gardener and you have rhubarb, chances are you have some zucchini too.
Zucchini. All right.
Thanks for joining us today.
Have a great day.